Hey everyone, what's going on? My name's Archer Live, and in today's video we're going for a slightly different build, and it's one based off the Sociopath Perk Deck. Not one that I've used very often, not one that I've really paid much attention to, until recently I looked at what the Perk Deck actually offers, and as such we're going to go to that first rather than skills. I know, shocking, it's a dramatic change from how I normally do these build videos, but we're going to go and look at the Perk Deck first and see what's actually being offered, and that will explain why I'm doing this build video. Okay, so let's look at the Sociopath Perk Deck. Now, the very first card is the key focus here, which is quite nice. It's not the max card, which means it's easily accessible for people who want to try this out on low levels, low difficulties, anything like that. It's a lot easier to access. It's Overdog, and it's the second thing we're looking at more, which is your second and each consecutive melee hit within 1 second of the last one will deal 10 times its normal damage. So if you go for a decently damaging melee weapon, you can actually deal 10 times that damage just by hitting an enemy twice. You'll find that most enemies on Death Wish or below, I haven't tried this much on one down note because it is a bit of a joke build. This isn't really the best build to go for, because unless you want to run around and like melee Zeal Team bulldozers on one down, not really a good build for that, but that's by the by. It's really, really good. You can kill pretty much any enemy with 2 hits. A bulldozer of green or black origin will usually down in 2 or 3 hits. Skulldozer I've found to be about 5 melee strikes with the weapon I've chose. So that's something to keep in mind. Other things that this perk deck gives you is additional 10% armor. Killing an enemy will also regenerate 30 armor, which cannot occur more than once every second. So that helps with survivability. Killing an enemy with a melee weapon regenerates 10% health. That can't occur more than once every 1 second, but that's again very good for survivability. And then we've got Overdose. Killing an enemy at medium range with one of the weapons we've brought will recover 30 armor, and we also get more armor again. And then finally, killing an enemy at medium range has a 3/4 chance to spread panic among your enemies, which will make enemies go into short bursts of uncontrollable fear. Again, this cannot occur more than once every second, and then we've got the usual deck completion bonus for completing the perk deck. Okay, so with that in mind, let's move to the skill set, and we're going to talk a bit more about this build. Now, because this is a joke build, again, I'm reiterating that because I don't want people to think this is serious, because it really isn't. It's not a build that I would take into one down, and it is just something to make it a bit more fun and mix things up a bit. But because of that, I've just tried to go for some weapons that work without major skills, because I have gone for some melee-based skills here, a bit more survivability. So we'll go through the skills and I'll talk a bit more about it in depth after that. To start with, we got Basic Combat Medic, Aced Painkillers, Aced Combat Doctor, and Aced Inspire. Radical change that I didn't go for Quick Fix. I know we're really surprising ourselves with this build video. That's twice I've done things I don't normally do. But I really don't like the fact that the Doctor Bags take longer to deploy. I've noticed that, and it's really not fun, but I do kind of like the damage reduction on enemies that you on friendly, that you've just revived. 80% damage reduction for 5 seconds is quite nice. So I just felt like trying it for a change. Honestly, probably better sticking with Quick Fix, but that's up to you. We got Basic Forced Friendship just to cable time more hostages, and Basic Stable Shot for a bit of stability. In Enforcer, now here's where things get a bit more interesting, because what I wanted to do was have a bit more armor on the character, because you're coming up in the face of cops, and if you can regain armor by meleeing them, you want to make sure that you have enough so that while you're trying to strike them with a melee weapon, you're not losing all your armor and then dying whilst trying to do it. You will find you dying a bit more with this build because it is all about striking enemies in the face. Don't think you're going to be surviving a lot, because honestly you will down quite a lot. Again, for the 3rd time, it's a joke build. I'm just going to stop saying it now because I expect you understand that by this point. You guys aren't stupid, but some people will probably get triggered if I don't say it enough times, so that's why I've put it out there. But we aced Resilience, aced Die Hard, aced Bullseye, got Basic Shock and Awe, and Basic Iron Man. Increased armor value, increased armor recovery rate, reducing the visual effect duration of flashbangs. Now I might be crazy on this one, but I think there's actually a bug right now. People have said to me that flashbang duration has been increased notably, and people think it might be a bug. I actually think that it's a glitch with Resilience itself, because I have never noticed the flashbangs lasting longer than they should until I used this build. So here's my radical thought, is that actually there's been a glitch in the system with the skill set, and instead of reducing the duration of flashbangs by 75%, it's increased it, and it's not meant to. So that might be the issue. I might be wrong there. That is a sideline, because I know a few console players have come to me and said that. So there's your answer. I think it might be to do with Resilience. If you have that ace, to get rid of it. But I've put that in there just on the basis that hopefully that will get patched soon, because I like having the reduced flashbang duration anyway, and also gives us enough skill points to get up to Iron Man, because I don't think... Oh, I actually could get rid of that and still have Iron Man. Okay, well my argument's invalid. Let's just move on before I look like a complete idiot. But yeah, less damage while interacting with objects, and also Bullseye with the gun we've picked. If you can get an enemy in the head, that will give you a bit more armor on top. All about trying to recover your armor as fast as possible. We also got Basic Scavenger just to pick up ammo a bit faster. It's negligible. In Technician, this is a bit debatable because our primary weapon, I'm going to say it now because normally I don't, but it's easier to explain in this case. We brought the GUA 3 rifle with a DMR kit. Now, the issue with that is that sometimes I'm not going to be using auto fire mode, and the skills we picked in this skill set for technician may not always be useful. But a lot of the time, I either A, want to fire in auto fire mode, or B, completely forget that I'm in auto fire mode until I've sprayed like 20 bullets towards cops. So, you know, for someone like me, that's quite handy. But if you guys do consider picking this build up, maybe you could put those points elsewhere, possibly into some single shot weapon kills like skills. I keep saying kills, I need to stop doing that. Like rifleman, marksman, or aggressive reload. It's an option, it's up to you guys where you want to go with that. I definitely wouldn't go for like ammo efficiency at the top because I just don't like that skill anyway. It's just a bit of a letdown to be a top tier skill, but that's by the by. We've got Ace Steady Grip, Basic Lock and Load, Ace Surefire, and Ace Body Expertise. Another one of those sets of skills where I've debated it multiple times and why it's so good, so I don't need to go there again. But again, it's a joke build. You don't really need to think too much about where the skill points are going. It's all about meleeing, and that's where the focus of the build is. The guns are purely there because you have to have guns, and we want to have something that at least deals a bit of damage. For Ghost, we got Basic Duck and Cover, Basic Parkour, Basic Second Wind, and Basic Optical Illusions. Just being targeted less by enemies because you're in the face of them is very nice, so not everyone will be shooting at you while you're trying to melee a dozer in the face, so, you know, it does work quite well. And then just extra movement speed is really useful to run away from cops if you run into a herd of them to try and get melee kills and realise that was a really stupid mistake, which, let's be honest, usually that is a really stupid mistake. In Fugitive, we got Ace 9 Lives, Ace Swan Song, skills I don't need to talk about. And then we got Basic Martial Arts, Ace Bloodthirst, Ace Pumping Iron, and Basic Berserker. It's more about melee here. Trying to survive is nice, but you will die quite a lot, so just keep that in mind. But let's move on to the weapons, see what we've picked up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the build itself. Okay, so as I already said, for the primary we're bringing the GUA 3 rifle, and the attachments are as follows. We have the DMR kit, we have the Tactical Compensator, the Accuracy Boost, the Tactical Foregrip, the LED Combo Gadget, the Retro Grip, no sights because I don't like sights, and the Wooden Stock. Now, I just really like having accuracy and stability at 100. I think the purple looks quite cool, and also in gameplay, it feels so smooth to not have just ounces of recoil. So it works really well. The high damage is, you know, really, really nice. And I haven't picked auto fire or single fire because I like using single fire, but also we have the skills to accommodate auto fire. So you kind of got to have the best of both worlds here. For the secondary, though, we've picked up the Arbiter Grenade Launcher, which is a tiny bit of a weird one because it's different to the China Lake, but it's also quite a nice grenade launcher to just clear out a few rooms of cops. I like it, and also because you can stun cops, and if they aren't dead, you can finish them off with a nice high damage melee attack as well, so it works quite well. So for this gun, we picked up only the stability boost, I seem to remember, unless I put an LED combo on. No, I didn't. There's no point with the stats the way they are. Yeah, so it's just that boost, because I just don't really think it needs much else on it. You could put a barrel extension on if you want, if you fancy having more of a barrel extension, but it just doesn't really matter to me, at least. I don't think so. And then for the sights, again, I don't like sights on guns. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about the sights on this game where I feel like my vision's been restricted, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just like having the open, like just normal ADS. So that's just personal preference. If you don't have the Arbiter Grenade Launcher, though, there are other options for you, don't worry. You can bring something like the HRL7 if you want to be really high damage. If you own the Wolfpack, bring the China Puff, or if you own Scarface, bring the Commando 101. But honestly, any secondary, if you want to bring like a full auto submachine gun, that could make more of a use of body expertise. That could be quite nice. So the CR805B or the Krinkov or the Swedish K, all really good choices. And then for our melee weapon, which is really the gem of this build, is the katana. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the first word that comes before that because I will mess it up. But this beauty of a melee weapon deals so much damage. It has 140 base because of the skills we've got, but 10 times that means that you get 1,400 damage for one melee strike if you just hit someone a second beforehand. So 2 hits, and overall you'll have done 1,540 damage, and every time you strike them after that, if they aren't already dead, adds another 1,400 on. It is beautiful. I adore it. The range is really far on the weapon as well, and while the charge time says 4 seconds, if you tap it, the actual strike, the time between each strike is really low, which isn't something you always see. Usually with melee weapons with high charge times, just tapping it still takes ages to move from one strike to the next, but the katana swings really fluidly, you get more hits in, you get them faster, and it's just the best choice weapon. I absolutely adore it. If you don't have the Yakuza character pack, again, you're going to have some issue here, but there are other weapons to consider, so all hope is not lost. Possibly a good one to maybe try would be El Verdugo. Doesn't quite have as much range, but has the exact same stats, so that's an option for you. Although, the thing I said about, you know, higher charge time weapons taking longer to swing, this does take longer to swing when you just tap the melee button, so you are at a disadvantage, and yeah, I suppose it is kind of a little bit pay to win, but it's not really like pay to win as such as pay to have a bit more fun with a melee build that's a bit of a joke and you don't really need anyway, you can live without, so I wouldn't worry too much if you don't have a DLC. On top of that, we brought the throwing knife throwable. We've already talked about the perk deck, and we're bringing a lightweight ballistic vest for a little bit more armor. Like I said, trying to have a bit more armor in the build. And we brought Dr. Bags. But that sums up everything we're bringing into the heist. Let's go into a heist with some gameplay, and I'll share my final thoughts on this build. The Sociopath melee build. This was honestly so much fun to make. It just was really nice to go for a build that wasn't all uptight and serious, all about surviving and killing as many cops as you can. It's just, let's just run around with a sword and swing at people and deal loads of damage. It's kind of like a crummy Payday version of Kill Bill. They seem to be going for a lot of film collaborations here, so here's my Kill Bill collaboration with Payday 2. This build was just, as I said so many times, a complete joke, but I honestly do like it. It's actually a really fun build to use. And although I've said you do die quite a few more times, that is the main downside of this build, because you are trying to get melee kills more, or at least you should be if you're using this type of build. You will down quite a lot more, people will have to revive you a lot more, so my pro tip for this build is if you're running out into fields of cops and meleeing them, have teammates who can inspire you from a distance. Don't bring them into the middle of the firefight that you're throwing yourself into with a sword. So make sure you have at least one teammate who has inspired, the more the merrier, but at least one is very nice. Because honestly, if AIs try and come into the middle of it, they'll probably get themselves killed because they'll be shot by like 6 directions. So that's something to consider. But other than that, the melee just works really well. And the high damage and the satisfaction of just being able to cut down bulldozers with a few hits is absolutely fabulous. I need to try it a bit more on one down, but honestly, if I do that, I kind of know that I'm standing up for a suicide mission because I already know in my head, and you guys probably know as well, that's not going to work out very well. We don't have dodge, we barely have any armor, and it's just not really going to work that well. But I don't know, I kind of want to try it. The whole point of it is to have a laugh, so I might give it a go on one down and just, you know, see how quickly I want to pull my hair out. But anyway, that sums up the build. There's not really, I don't really want to talk too much about really, like, specific strengths and weaknesses of this build because there really isn't much need. It's a laugh. It's a bit of fun. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you do want to see more joke-type builds, do let me know and give me some suggestions in the comments. I've already done the build video for Agent 47, which I put up not too long ago. So there's that. So there's like character-type builds. We've also got joke builds. There'll still be serious builds as well every now and again. I want to come up with something decent to actually do a build video on. But I like doing this kind of mix-up where I can go for builds that maybe have different objectives rather than just being really strict and uptight. Either just being there to have a laugh or being there to kind of, you know, copy other characters from different TV shows, films, etc. Give all your thoughts down in the comment section below, and if you have enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. It means a lot and it would be really very much appreciated. Other than that, thank you all very, very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you aren't new, and guys, I'll see you all next video. Take it easy.